You don't hear me, now you hear me. Hey guys, it's Tim and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 10th of August 2020 to talk about everything that went down tonight on Monday Night Raw. As far as tonight's Monday Night Raw does go, and I do have to change one thing, I thought tonight's show was actually a pretty darn good show, if I do say so myself. Well, good-ish. There were some good things. There were some not that good things. And we'll get into all that here in a minute. Let's wait for a few more of you guys to jump into the live chat while I fix something here. See who's here with us at the moment. We do have Sean Cook, Gabriel 06091999, D-Trix, Messy, Broken King Slender, Lil Joss, Eric Tate, Megaship, Gomez 67, Dan the Man 1984, and so many more of you. Remember, guys, if you want to support us here on Pro Wrestling Unlimited and PWUnlimited Twitch channel, you can do so by a few different ways, actually. You can hit that subscribe button and subscribe the normal way, you know. But you can also subscribe for free. If you have Twitch Prime, or actually if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Twitch Prime that may now be called Prime Gaming. Not 100% sure. Either way, if you got Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to us absolutely free by linking your Amazon account to your Twitch account. And then bada boom, they give you one free Twitch subscription to subscribe to any channel you want throughout the month, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to us. Excuse me. Also, as always, you can also donate bits. That is greatly appreciated as well. I don't know why what I'm trying to fix is not fixing, but if it doesn't go in the next few seconds, I may have got it now. No? Yes? Give me one more second, guys. There we go. All right. Let's talk about Raw. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw that kicked off with a graphic for the late, great Kamala James Harris. You guys did not hear the news yesterday. The former WWE superstar Kamala actually passed away. They're not 100% sure, but they do believe that it was complications due to COVID-19. Kamala has been battling diabetes for many, many years, even lost his legs because of it, has been going to the doctor every single week for dialysis, and they think that is how he contracted it at the doctor's office. They stated that he tested positive on Wednesday, but was feeling pretty good and was even feeling better by Sunday. Then all of a sudden, he went into cardiac arrest, had a heart attack, and passed away Sunday afternoonish. So it's unfortunate. We've lost another great. Kamala will be missed, even though he hasn't wrestled in a long time. I think his last match was against, and I could be wrong, correct me, but I know he had a match in 2006 against Umaga on Raw, I want to say. And that was the last time that I ever saw Kamala wrestle. I don't know if he wrestled any time after that in an indie or something, but that was the last Kamala match I ever saw. The announcers then ran down the card for tonight's show, including Raw Underground kicking off at 10 p.m. because this stuff is so bad that we can't show it in prime time. We gotta push this back till after the kids go to bed. Then we can watch some of that underground fighting. So Samoa Joe was in the ring as the show kicked off. He was in the ring for a contract signing. The contract signing would be between Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic. I don't know why I didn't just say Dominic Mysterio. And Seth Rollins. Joe said that, well, he's going to keep it professional tonight. And Byron said he has to keep it professional tonight because if Joe gets involved in any way physically, he will lose his job because he's not cleared to compete, and WWE is not going to risk him getting hurt while he's hurt. So I liked that little thing they snuck in there. They were like, hey, Joe can't really technically do anything, so we're just going to say that we don't want him to get hurt again. Broken King Slayer says 10 p.m. is still technically primetime. No, it's not, actually. Primetime hours are 8 to 9 and 9 to 10. Then 10 p.m. is late night. It's technically when late night starts. When you get your more... What's the word I'm looking for? 10 p.m. is when they can show their more dramatic and over-the-top cop and hospital shows. The ones where there's more blood. The ones where there's more violence and all that. You can't show those usually till 10. Sometimes you can show them early and whatnot. But a lot of those like deeper cop shows and hospital shows and stuff that really show a lot of guts and blood and woo, those are until 10. So with that, Joe introduces Seth Rollins. He then brings out Dominic. Dominic enters with a kendo stick and his own music, which is basically a remix of Ray's music, but actually pretty sick sounding. Hope they add that to Spotify soon. Excuse me. So, where was I? Both men came down to the ring. They actually stated that Dominic has 2 contracts to sign. One contract will actually be for the match at SummerSlam with Seth Rollins, and the other contract, well, it'll be Dominic's actual WWE performer contract. He will be becoming a WWE superstar tonight when he signs the contract. So Joe introduces both men and kind of eggs on Rollins a little bit. Gets him a little edgy and going, I guess you could say. Joe said Rollins could have been the greatest superstar of his generation, but got caught up in himself when the crowd started booing him a few times. Joe spoke about what he did to Rey Mysterio, or what Seth did to Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black, and wondered what would have happened to him if Dominic didn't show up last week. Seth Rollins then gave Dominic a choice, and Joe should pick the right choice too, or else. Rollins wants to be Seth freaking Rollins, but, well, he's been forced to make sacrifices for the greater good. He wondered when it would be enough. He also told Dominic, you want to come out here and look like a man, an adult? You just look like a scared kid with that kendo stick that you need. Dominic said that it would never be enough. He said that he has changed his father and Aleister Black's life for the worst. And the only good he fought for was himself. As speaking about Rollins. Rollins said that Dominic was on the verge of becoming a WWE superstar. He needs to act like it. He said that Dominic is about to make his dreams come true, and none of that would happen without Seth Rollins. Dominic said that this was his dream, but now his dream would be to kick Seth Rollins' ass at SummerSlam, and Rollins laughed. Dominic was great here. You would think that somebody in Dominic's position, with as little experience as Dominic had, would come off nervous, maybe slip a few words or something like that. Dominic hit all of his lines. Seemed not fazed at all by anything. This kid's going to be fucking great. Dominic's been around for, I want to say, a little over a year, off and on with his father, but never been able to shine on his own like he is now. And he's showing us that, hey, we don't know if he'll ever be as great as his dad, but he's going to be really, really good. And give him time, and he may be even better than, like, more than half the roster. Just saying. Rollins said Dominic wouldn't even last 10 seconds in a ring with him. Rollins then offered to allow Dominic to use a kendo stick or any weapon of his choice at SummerSlam, so he has no excuse when his career gets ended before it even begins. Rollins said that Dominic Rollins and Dominic each signed the contract. Dominic then signed his second contract to become a new member of the roster. Rollins congratulated him on becoming a WWE superstar. Rollins told him to watch what he does next against his friend Humberto Carrillo, because they're facing off in the next matchup. And this match went about 3.5 minutes. Murphy distracted Carrillo, so Dominic took him out with the kendo stick. Carrillo was still distracted long enough for Rollins to counter a moonsault and followed up with a super kick, powerbomb, and curb stomp to finish the match. Again, not much happening. About 3.5 minute match. Murphy would then immediately attack Dominic after the match. Dominic fought back and tackled Rollins, but Murphy made the save and overwhelmed him 2-on-1. Then, Dominic basically had his initiation in becoming a WWE superstar. Rollins hit Dominic with the kendo stick, and when he did, that first shot, and every other shot after, was loud as it could be. So I'm assuming they told Dominic, hey, we're going to lay it in. Be ready. He hit him about 4 times, and then ripped the shirt off of Dominic, where he continued to attack him with the kendo stick. Rollins and Murphy then tied Dominic up in the ropes, and they continued to hit him with the kendo sticks over and over again. Rollins then told Dominic to say hi to his dad, and then say hi to your dad, and then, well, Seth did it for him. Seth said, "Hi, Dad." Murphy then grabbed more kendo sticks. Carrillo, laying in the ring, eventually was pushed out, laying at ringside dead. Rollins then hit Dominic in the chest, the stomach, and over and over and over, while Murphy was hitting him at the same time across the back. They showed Dominic's body bruised up. And what they showed on TV, let me pull something up on Twitter. So, I'm going to pull this up. This is what you saw if you were watching TV. It looked bad. It really did. Let me... So this is what you saw if you were watching on television. If you were watching on TV, you saw Dominic's back just ripped up from those kendo stick shots. Right? But then, WWE posted these on their Instagram page. There's the front. There's the back. Just destroyed Dominic's back and chest and stomach and arms. Kid can take a beating. He sold it perfectly and didn't look too phased as far as couldn't take it. No, he took it, sold it like he was supposed to. I'm telling you, this kid is gonna be good, if not great, in the future. Going back, pull my notes back up. Next up, we got a video recapping what Retribution had done on SmackDown. Zelina Vega would then enter the ring with Andrade and Angel Garza, and I was kind of taken aback for a second here because I go, ooh, we all know Zelina's a great promo. But Zelina's promo tonight may have been one of her best promos because it wasn't sounding like AJ Lee. A lot of time, she does the AJ Lee dialect. The AJ Lee enunciation of words type deal. But tonight, she was just a pissed off Zelina Vega that wanted to clear her name. And honestly, without knowing any facts, I have to side with Zelina Vega. And we'll get into that a little later as far as I don't think she had anything to do with the Montez Ford poisoning. She could have, but as of right now, I can't believe she did. And we'll talk about that in a minute, why I believe all in that, blah, 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 whatever. So, She told them, cut our music. And someone in the audience, which I believe was motherfucking Bugenhagen, who I can't stand, yelled, put the music back on. This motherfucker, always trying to make himself part of the show, is the most annoying thing in the world. She said, cut the music, and he yells, put the music back on. I'm like, shut up. So Vega said she had nothing to do with the poisoning of Montez Ford and noted that would just jeopardize their shot at SummerSlam. If Ford was poisoned and can't compete, well, then her clients can't get a shot at the titles, which she's not wrong. Vega then said that she didn't capitalize on her clients' success like most women. She created it for them. She said that they would win the titles come SummerSlam. Out would then come Angelo Dawkins to take on Andrade in a roughly 4-minute match. There's some technical difficulties here because of Retribution. And during his entrance, Dawkins' music was cutting in and out. The match began after a break, but not before. There was a long commercial hyping up the Big Show, crossing over with some other Netflix show. And I don't know. I like the Big Show. I don't know what this whole crossover thing is. I guess they're copying Disney Channel because they do this once a year. They take a bunch of their shows and they like cross over characters and stuff. So Netflix is now copying Disney Channel. Hey, they're successful. Why not copy them? Dawkins seemed to have the match won at one point, but Vega distracted the referee. So Bianca Belair ran out and yanked her off the apron. Dawkins managed to give the cash out pop-up spinebuster to Andrade and pin him to pick up the victory. The announcers stated, poor choices of words here, Dawkins got retribution for Ford. Here's the thing. First off, wouldn't have used retribution. And second, got retribution for Ford on Andrade. We don't even know if Andrade, Garza, and Zelina are the ones that did it. The ones that poisoned him. And I'm going to get into more of that here after we talk about Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega. Belair was in control until Vega raked the eyes with the distracted referee. Belair began mounting a comeback, but she missed a tackle and went shoulder first into the ring post. Belair followed this up soon with a powerbomb and a KOD for the pinfall victory. I thought this was a really good match. Probably better than most women's matches we see. Like, it wasn't the best women's match tonight because we had Asuka versus Bayley, but it's better than most women's matches we usually get. Now, here's where things were just stupid as all stupid. Charlie Caruso gets in the ring and says, Bianca, you accuse Zelina Vega of being behind poisoning your husband. Do you have any evidence that Zelina Vega was behind this? And she goes, yeah, I do, because she did it. And when I heard that, my head fell. And I go, idiot. That wouldn't hold up in court. Oh, what's your proof? I think she did it. I know she did it. No. That ain't no proof. Proven innocent until proven guilty. Also, Zelina made a point earlier saying, hey, if Montez Ford can't compete because he was poisoned, then my boys don't get a shot at the tag titles, and that just fucks everything up. So A, for that reason, I don't think she did it. B, there's no proof that she did it. Bianca Belair is just a crazed maniac thinking, oh, you guys did it to get at my husband because you tag title shot. No, I don't think Zelina, Andrade, or Garza are behind it. And for Bianca to keep going, oh, she did it because I think she did it. No, I know she did it. Is dumb. And then on top of that, these damn unbiased announcers, Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton, both stating that Bianca and Angelo Dawkins got retribution on Andrade and Zelina for what they did to Montez Ford. For what they did to Montez Ford? They did nothing. If they drugged and poisoned Montez Ford, then last week when the referees and Dawkins was checking on Ford in the middle of the ring, Andrade wouldn't have jumped back in the ring and wanted to know if he was okay. While the ref's yelling at Andrade, get out of the ring, we're checking on him to make sure he's okay. Andrade's just like, hey, is he fine? What's going on? Is he okay? Andrade would not be checking on him if he was one of the ones behind poisoning him. So honestly, this whole thing's bullshit because they didn't do it. There's no evidence that they did it other than, I know they did it. I know they did it. I don't. Got to be like a retribution thing. Got to be a retribution thing. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. I mean, they could sneak around anywhere they want anyways. We've learned of that. They might as well have snuck behind Montez Ford and dripped a little something in his drink before they can even notice. Maybe they did it right after they shoved over those boxes last week. But I don't know. Just saying. It wasn't Zelina. It wasn't. And then I'm mad that they think this is a great way to book it, just to have her say, what's your evidence? Bianca, what's your evidence? And Bianca say, she did it because I know she did it. No, you don't know she did it, you dummy. Next up, MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin all came out for the VIP Lounge. MVP claimed a conspiracy was up against him and blamed the lights going out during his match for his loss. Apollo Crews interrupted. Crews said that MVP, well, he always has an excuse. MVP noted that Crews coming up with his own excuses for missing time. Crews is glad to be back and holding the U.S. title that MVP paid thousands of dollars for. MVP stated that Crews has made a bad decision by turning him down and not wanting to join him in the Hurt Business. Crews said that he was allowed to make bad decisions because, well, he was a bad man. Crews didn't care about Benjamin, and he doesn't care about Lashley. He did care about MVP, though. He said the only light that would be going out at SummerSlam would be his. Lashley and Benjamin tried to go after Crews. Crews slipped in the ring and knocked out MVP. He picked up one of the couches and tossed it out of the ring in their direction, which was pretty impressive. He lifted that couch and just tossed it over the ropes like it was nothing. Like it was a blow-up couch. We then got Shelton Benjamin against Apollo Crews in a non-title match. Match was pretty fun. Lashley tried tripping Crews as he came off the ropes. So Crews stopped and, well, kicked him in the face. The referee saw this all happening and didn't do anything about it, unfortunately. I guess because Lashley never technically, and I know this is all convoluted because WWE bullshit and everything, but Lashley technically never touched Crews. Crews touched Lashley. Lashley did nothing wrong. So it doesn't stop the match. But when two people that aren't even in a match brawl, that stops matches. So I don't understand this. WWE, you got to get your refs together and say, hey, here are the rules. Follow them all to a T the same. Anyways, Benjamin used a distraction, though, to apply a schoolboy, and the ref counted the pin. Benjamin pinned Crews. Don't make sense going into SummerSlam. We want the champ to go in looking strong, or as strong as possible. And this just basically showed us that if MVP uses Lashley and Benjamin for the distraction at SummerSlam, there's a good chance he can win. So I don't know. Lashley was going to put Crews in the full Nelson, but MVP told him not to. MVP assured that Crews just looking out for him. MVP was about to sucker punch him, but Crews gave him an enziguri and bailed. Tom Phillips then got word that Retribution has thrown a cinder block through the window at the WWE Performance Center. Actually, it's the front door. Then they showed footage. So they got inside the front door, with a cinder block and then threw a cinder block through the door to the outside, busting the window. Where's your damn security? You would think that after last week on SmackDown, when they got into the building, in the ringside area and busted your ring up and spray painted your plexiglass, that you'd have extra security or place wrestlers around the building to stop them? No. Nobody's learned their lesson. Who's running the ship? That's my question. We see Adam Pearce on both Raw and SmackDown, but obviously he ain't doing shit. A single security guard ran up at one point and told the group, "Get the hell out of here and go home." That didn't do anything. One guy responded by saying, "No, you get the hell out of here. You go home." And then they tossed a second cinder block through the empty space where they already broke the window. They celebrated. They ran off. We see him again later. We then got a recap of last week's Raw Underground. And then Mickie James is back. So they told us 2 hours or so before Raw went on the air, maybe 3 hours, Mickie James returning tonight on Raw. Mickie James returned for a less than 60-second deal with Lana and Natty that I think led to them making a match for next week, maybe? Mickie James told Sarah Schreiber she was back to lead the locker room, but she also has gold on her mind. Lana and Natalya come up, and they booed Mickie James wearing matching dresses, so they're a deal now. Like, it's legit. Lana wondered how James could lead the locker room if she doesn't even have a TikTok. Well, excuse me, Lana, you might not have a TikTok much longer anyways. You have to go over there to the Instagram Reels. Natalya reminded James that she had the most wins of any woman in this company. James made a crack about Natalya riding her family's coattails. And honestly, if Mickie never left with TNA, she'd probably have more wins than Natty. Just saying. Because she was around before Natty. After she left, Natalya and Lana said rude at the same time. And I think Mickie had said something about what's face off next week or something. Not 100% sure. I think this is leading to Natty versus Mickie next week. But I'm so confused. I don't even know if it is. We then got a 70-second match. 8-man tag. Viking Raiders, Ricochet, and Cedric Alexander against Akira Tozawa and the Ninjas. Or Retribution, because they look all the same. Viking Raiders gave one of Tozawa's Ninjas a Viking experience. Well, first, Ricochet and Cedric beat down some of the Ninjas. They chased off Tozawa. Then one of the Ninjas got the Viking experience and got pinned. All in about 70 seconds. One of the Ninjas had refused to get into the ring during the match. As he left with Tozawa, he rolled up Tozawa and pinned him to become the new 24/7 champion. And we learned that it is the now 38-time 24/7 champion, R-Truth. I didn't like this. It was a waste of time. Even though it was less than 2 minutes in total, waste of time. What wasn't a waste of time was Charlie Caruso's interview with Drew McIntyre. Before we talk about that, I want to remind you guys, if you want to be part of the show tonight, you can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. Again, you could text in to 510-906-1341 and let me know what you thought about tonight's Monday Night Raw. Charlie Caruso interviewed Drew McIntyre tonight. He said Randy Orton had a death grip on the torch that he ripped from Mick Foley many years ago. He said he'd rip that torch from Orton's hands and kick him in the head as hard as he can at SummerSlam. So that Orton realized that Evolution has passed him by. Caruso asked, well, what if Kevin Owens rips the torch from Randy Orton's hand tonight? McIntyre said, well, then Owens and I are going to have a serious conversation about the future of Monday Night Raw if that happens. Next up, the Iconics cut a pre-match promo where they mocked their opponents and called themselves Iconic. Okay, helped out. So we got Peyton Royce versus Liv Morgan. Match in maybe 2 minutes. Not much happened in the match at the end. Billie Kay jumped up on the apron. Then, Ruby Riott jumped up on the apron. This distracted the referee. Not Billie, but Ruby distracted the referee. Also, distracted Liv for some dumb reason. She was then hit with a twisting brainbuster type move by Peyton Royce and got pinned. Peyton Royce defeated Liv Morgan. And after the match, Liv yelled at Ruby because Ruby was only trying to help. But Liv didn't know that because Liv didn't see Billie. I guess. I don't know. Shane McMahon is then seen walking up, greeted his security guard, I think his name's Jordan, and said, "Everything going good?" He's like, "Everything going good." And then Shane McMahon said, "Well, it's almost 10 p.m. You know what that means. Next up, Monday Night Raw." No, he did not say that. He said, "It's almost 10 p.m. You know what that means. Next up, Raw Underground." So we come back from the break. It's actually only 9:53-ish. And we get Raw Underground. It's not quite 10 p.m. yet. Rick Moss was then seen taking on Cal Bloom. And I thought, as I always think when I see Cal Bloom in the audience, oh, hey, is that ZZ from Tough Enough? I thought he was cut years ago. No, it's Cal Bloom. Shane was on the mic the entire time, basically doing commentary. He kept yelling, "There's no rules. The only rules are really no rules." The two fought in the ring. Then they spilled out of the ring, smacked each other up against some metal grates or whatever, got back in the ring, and finally Cal Bloom was knocked out by Rick Moss. Shane McMahon said, "More Raw Underground action coming up later." Next up, we got a 15-16 minute match. Great match between Bayley and Asuka. Remember, if Asuka wins, she gets a title shot against Sasha at SummerSlam. So Asuka used a missile drop kick after a commercial break to get a 2. Bayley followed this up with an ankle lock, but Asuka got to the ropes, broke it. Bayley distracted the referee, and Banks attacked Asuka's leg. Asuka applied an octopus hold and transitioned into an armbar, but Bayley countered into a pinning attempt and only got a 2 off of it. Bayley then used an Indian deathlock, but Asuka countered into a knee bar. Bayley fought out, but Asuka followed this up with a code breaker for a 2. Bayley fought Asuka off, and she got on the top rope and hit a flying elbow for a near fall. Bayley then used a spinning back fist and a sunset powerbomb into the buckle. Bayley mocked Kairi Sane until Asuka got her in the Asuka lock. Asuka wrenched that Asuka lock, and well, Bayley had no other options but to tap. She wasn't getting out. Bayley taps. Asuka wins. Asuka now goes on to SummerSlam. I thought it was a really, really, really good match, and it felt different than everything else on the show because, well, other than the main event, it wasn't short. Let's go back to Raw Underground. Arturo Rua, who was actually supposed to be called up to the main roster earlier this year and wasn't, is seen beating down some random jobber. So I don't know who the guy was. They didn't introduce him like they did Rua. He beat this guy's ass. And then Shane said, "Anybody else want to fight Arturo?" And nobody wanted to fight Arturo. After commercial break, Dabba-Kato's beating some guy up. He punches him in the face, grabs him by the nuts, and just squeezes and squeezes and squeezes his groin. Then punches him in the face, knocks him out. He then says, "Anybody else want to face Dabba-Kato?" And Shayna Baszler jumps into the ring. Shayna basically walks straight up to Dabba-Kato, looks at him, and Shane just goes, No, we can't have any of that now. No, we can't do that. Dabba-Kato, you're done. You're done." He's like, "But we've got Shayna Baszler. Anybody want to fight Shayna Baszler?" And no one responds. And my thing was, should have let Shayna beat down Dabba-Kato. She would have whipped his ass legit, probably. So, finally, no one wants to fight Shayna, so Shayna takes the fight outside herself. She goes over to this one girl, just elbows her right in the face, puts her on her shoulders. Fireman Carey throws her into the ring, starts beating her down when some other girl in some just random weird blouse, like she looked like she was brought by her husband, and her husband was like, "Hey babe, we're going on a date, we're going to go watch some fights, get nice and fancy for me." And she was nice and fancy, but not ready to fight. But she jumped in anyways, tried to attack Shayna Baszler. Then another blonde jumps in to try to fight Shayna Baszler. And Shayna just fights them all off. No problem. Beats them all down. Shayna's standing tall. Shane McMahon's impressed and says, well, you know what? Just wait till we see you next week on Raw Underground. That was it for the night. All of a sudden, cameraman found Retribution with a flipped over car. They were pulling parts off from under the car. And once they realized the cameras were on them, they ran off. Where's the goddamn security or some of the other wrestlers to stop these little midgets? You know what I'm saying? You got plenty of big guys that can scare Retribution. Then we got our main event. Great match. Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Match went about 13-14 minutes. Owens gave Orton a cannonball into the barricade as we went to the first commercial break. Owens was still in control following that break and hit Orton with chops and punches. Orton countered an Irish whip and tossed Owens into the steel steps. Orton smashed his face into the plexiglass and broke up the referee's count to toss Owens into the steps again. Owens rolled into the ring at the count of 7, and Orton gave him a Garvin stomp. Owens fought back, and they traded strikes until Owens hit a clothesline and a senton. Orton left the ring and gave Owens a back suplex on the announce table, which led to a 2 back in the ring. Owens then headbutted Orton off the buckle and followed this up with a senton for a near fall. Owens went for a stunner, but Orton countered into an RKO and pinned him, defeating Kevin Owens. Ric Flair jumps in the ring and celebrates with Randy Orton. He's holding his arm up high. He's like, yeah, you won. You're the greatest, blah, blah, blah. And Orton's like, I need a mic. So he grabs the mic and he goes, Rick, don't go anywhere. Please wait with me for a moment. And the show goes to commercial. So come back from commercial, and this last, 12 minutes of the show was just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Orton said that, right now I have every right to be pissed off at you. Because you've made this all about you. This match with Kevin Owens was unnecessary and not needed. I should be focusing on facing Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. He said, I only fought Owens because of your ego and it got in the way. Orton said that he has learned so much from Flair, and that's one reason he's still contemplating after all these years being friends with him, being family. Orton then said, remember that one time in Peoria, Illinois, when I was like 22 years old, and I got in trouble and no one would come help me except you? Orton said he respected Flair, but he respected and doesn't anymore. He doesn't love Flair anymore either. Orton called Flair a liability. You know that Flair wanted him to be the son that he wished he always had. Orton asked Flair if he was going to cry. Orton told him, come on, cry. That's all you're good for anyways. Orton then admonished Flair for having health problems. Called Flair a junkie for the spotlight, who didn't need him anymore, who didn't have it anymore. Orton was going to win a championship for the 14th time, which is all that Flair should be concerned about. But no, Flair's trying to make it about himself. He said, the Ric Flair I know doesn't need a pacemaker to keep his heart going. Flair then took the mic. He said, I'm taking this very seriously and personal. He said, the Ric Flair from 2001, he's not here anymore. He admitted that he liked being with Orton because, yes, he does like being in the spotlight. He said, I'm 71 years old and I'm still on Monday Night Raw. Guys like Hogan call me up and ask me how it feels, and I tell him it feels great. Flair wanted to be there for Orton when he wins his 14th, 15th, 16th, even 17th championship. He said, I want you to beat my record, not John Cena's record, my record. Flair called Orton the best performer in the business and loved being here with him. Flair said that after being in intensive care for 31 days, all he wanted to do was tell the people that he cared about the most that he loved them. Flair started to cry and get emotional, telling the story. He said he was just now, he's Charlotte's dad. I wanted to be in Orton's corner when he broke the record. Orton slapped the mic away and hugged Ric Flair. He whispered something in Ric's ear, and after Ric turned around, Orton gave him a devastating low blow. The crowd booed. Orton then made sure that, well, Rick sold the low blow, but didn't have to take a bump, and he slowly helped him to the ground. The lights began to flicker as Orton contemplated possibly punting the Nature Boy. Orton backed himself up into the corner. Lights flickered again as Orton ran at Ric Flair. The lights went out. They made it seem like he gave him the punt, and then the lights came back on as Rick was basically knocked out. At this point, the WWE Champion Drew McIntyre sprinted as fast as he could down to the ring as Orton bailed. Officials and McIntyre checked on Flair. McIntyre then stared down Orton, who was standing at the top of the ramp. The audience chanted for Flair as McIntyre said that he was going to hurt Randy Orton come SummerSlam and called him one evil son of a bitch. I thought this angle was great. I thought this angle was excellent, and it played perfectly to what Rick can and can't do. And I said this on Twitter, and I'm going to say it right here. I think Drew McIntyre's been a phenomenal champion. He's been one of the best, main champions that WWE has had in a long time. I don't want them to take the title off of Drew McIntyre, but honestly, I think they have to. Again, I don't want them to take the title off of Drew McIntyre, but I think you have, capital H-A-V-E, have put the title on Orton. Orton's been the best thing in WWE, if not all of wrestling, in 2020. Orton's been the best performer. And to just have him lose at SummerSlam against Drew McIntyre, I know you're in a lose-lose situation. None of these guys should be losing right now. But honestly, the best move at SummerSlam is putting the title on Randy Orton. And unfortunately, that means taking it off of Drew McIntyre, who's been an incredible champion. So I'm torn because I know what they should do. It's not what I would like them to do. And it's what I hope they do, is take that title off of Randy Orton. Or off of Drew McIntyre for Randy Orton. With that, guys, that was a Monday Night Raw. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, you can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. Again, that's 510-906-1341. I do have a couple text messages already here that I do want to read. Person says, I think Dominic getting hit with the kendo sticks is way worse than Cody getting the 10 lashes from MJF. Oh, yeah, because that was way more than 10. And Seth was hitting him way harder than MJF was hitting Cody. But I'm not here to compare WWE and AEW. Person says, not Raw related, but any news on Ciampa and why he hasn't been on TV since carrying Cross Feud? Nope. None at all. And this person says, do you think Banks and Bayley win at SummerSlam? Also, do you think Dominic beats Seth? I think Dominic does beat Seth, which could slowly start leading Seth to go back babyface. And as far as Sasha and Bayley, I think Bayley wins, Sasha loses. So that's where I'm standing right here. And this last text message here says, do you see the Hurt Business getting any more members? No, I really don't. I think 3 is perfect. Maybe get one more, but who would it be anyways? No one else really makes sense. With that, guys, I want to say thank you for joining me here tonight on Twitch, twitch.tv/PWUnlimited. I want to thank everybody who has supported us here on Twitch thus far. And remember to follow us on all our other social media platforms like YouTube, youtube.com/ProWrestlingUnlimited. If you missed any of this podcast tonight, any of this Raw review, you can view it later on tonight on YouTube when it goes up video on demand. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/ProWrestlingUltD. Follow us on Twitter at PWUnlimited, and follow us on Instagram by searching for Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Also remember to follow me on social media, both on Twitch and Twitter at TimmyBuddy. So with that, guys, have a great night. And that'll do it for Monday Night Raw review. We'll see you next time. Not sure. I'll say right now, not sure what day Nick and I are going to be live. It all depends on Nick and his schedule. So either tomorrow or Thursday, hopefully.